I want you to think about the last photo on your phone, the most recent one you took. Now imagine opening it and seeing yourself in it, standing somewhere you've never been, wearing clothes you don't own, and behind you, something you couldn't explain even if you tried. That's what happened to Daniel Crawford. Except Daniel's photo wasn't on his phone. It was taken 11 years before he was born, and the face looking back at him was smiling. Daniel Crawford was not a superstitious man. He was an architect, logical, methodical, someone who believed in measurements and blueprints and things you could touch with your hands. He was 34 when his mother passed away and left him everything she owned, including the house he grew up in on Whitmore Street. He hadn't been back in 12 years. Not since the night he left at 22 with one bag and no explanation. He never told anyone why he left so suddenly. Not his friends, not his therapist, not his wife, Sarah. Some things Daniel believed were better left in the past. The problem with the past is that it doesn't always stay there. Sarah thought renovating the old house and selling it was a good idea. A fresh start, clean out the memories, make some money. Daniel agreed, mostly because agreeing was easier than explaining. They arrived on a Friday afternoon in early November. The house looked smaller than Daniel remembered, quieter. Sarah walked through the front door, talking about paint colors and open floor plans. Daniel stood on the porch for a long moment before following her inside, because standing there, looking at that front door, he remembered why he left. Not everything, just a feeling. The same feeling he had every night for the last 3 months of living here, that he was never alone in this house, even when he was. The first day was normal. They cleared boxes, made lists, ordered pizza. Sarah fell asleep early, exhausted from the drive. Daniel stayed up, walking through the rooms alone with a flashlight. He told himself he was checking the structure. Walls, floors, ceiling, foundation. But really, he was looking for something. He didn't know what. Something that would explain the feeling he'd carried for 12 years. Something that would make it make sense. He found it in the basement, behind the old water heater, wrapped in a plastic bag, was a shoebox he didn't recognize. Inside the shoebox were photographs, old ones, black and white, pictures of the house, his house, taken decades ago, pictures of the neighborhood, the street, the backyard. He flipped through them slowly, and then he stopped. The last photograph in the box showed the living room. His living room, the same furniture, the same wallpaper he remembered from childhood. In the photograph, a young boy sat on the floor playing with wooden blocks. Daniel recognized the boy immediately. It was him, maybe 7 or 8 years old. But Daniel had never seen this photograph before. His mother had never mentioned it. And standing in the doorway behind the boy, half hidden in shadow, was a figure Daniel didn't recognize. Tall, thin, completely still, watching the boy play. Daniel turned the photograph over. On the back, in handwriting he didn't recognize a single line. He can always see you, even when you can't see him. Daniel didn't sleep that night. He sat in the kitchen with every light on, the photograph on the table in front of him, trying to find a rational explanation. Someone was playing a prank. An old tenant, a previous owner. The figure in the doorway was just bad lighting. A coat hanging on a hook. The handwriting meant nothing. By 3 a.m., he had almost convinced himself. Then the lights went out. Not a flicker, not a surge, all at once. Complete darkness, complete silence. Daniel reached for his phone. The screen lit up, and he saw he had a new voicemail from an unknown number, received at 3:17 a.m. 30 seconds ago. He didn't remember his phone making a sound. He pressed play. The voicemail was 40 seconds of silence. Almost, because at the very end, right before it cut off, he heard something that made his blood go cold. A child's voice, humming. The same song his mother used to hum to him when he was small. A song she told him she made up herself. A song no one else in the world could have known. Daniel stood up from the kitchen table, and that's when he noticed the photograph had changed. The figure in the doorway was no longer in the doorway. It was closer now, standing directly behind the boy, close enough to touch him. Daniel flipped the photograph over. The handwriting on the back had changed too. It now read, "He's been here the whole time." Daniel woke Sarah. He didn't show her the photograph. He didn't play her the voicemail. He just told her they needed to leave. She argued. It was 3 a.m. They had work to do in the morning. He told her they were leaving now. Something in his voice made her stop arguing. They packed nothing. They walked to the car. Daniel started the engine and pulled out of the driveway without looking back at the house. But Sarah looked back. She didn't say anything for a long time. 5 minutes of driving in silence before she quietly asked, "Daniel, who was that standing in your old bedroom window?" Daniel didn't answer. He didn't look in the rearview mirror. He just drove. They checked into a motel 20 miles away. Sarah fell asleep within minutes. Daniel sat on the edge of the bed and finally opened his phone. He went to his photos, intending to take a picture of the voicemail number so he could report it in the morning. But his photo gallery stopped him cold. There were pictures he hadn't taken, dozens of them, all taken in the last 3 hours, all inside the house, the kitchen, the hallway, the basement, the bedroom where Sarah had slept. Every single photo was taken from the same angle, from behind, from a distance, always showing the back of someone's head. Daniel in the kitchen, Daniel in the basement, Sarah sleeping. Someone had been in that house the entire time, moving through the rooms, following them, taking pictures of them the same way you photograph something when you want to remember it. Daniel called the police the next morning. They searched the house top to bottom. No signs of forced entry, no footprints, no evidence of anyone. They took the shoebox of photographs as evidence. A detective called 3 days later with the results. The photographs were genuine, developed decades ago. No digital manipulation. The house in the photos matched perfectly. The boy in the photograph was confirmed through a birthmark on his left hand to be Daniel. But here is what the detective said that Daniel has never been able to explain. What he has never told anyone, not Sarah, not his therapist, not a single person in his life. The figure in the doorway. The tall, thin figure standing behind the boy. Forensic imaging couldn't identify it. They ran every test available, and their conclusion was not that the figure was a person. Their conclusion was that the figure had no depth, no dimension, like it wasn't standing in the room, like it was part of the photograph itself, like it had always been there, printed into the image before the picture was even taken. The detective said it was probably a developing error, a flaw in the film, a chemical reaction, nothing more. Daniel said he understood. He thanked the detective and hung up the phone. Then he sat very still for a very long time, because Daniel remembered something his mother told him once when he was very young, maybe 5 or 6 years old. He had asked her why she always left the hallway light on at night. She looked at him for a moment before answering, and she said, "Because there are things that can only exist in the dark, Daniel. And the moment you turn on the light, they have to become part of the picture instead." He was 5 years old. He didn't understand what she meant. He's 34 now. He still doesn't want to. Some things don't chase you. They don't need to. They're already there, woven into the places you grew up, the photographs you never knew existed, the songs only your mother knew, waiting not for you to find them, but for you to finally understand that you never left them behind. If this story unsettled you, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Subscribe to Silent Hour. New stories every week. Turn off the lights if you want, but leave one on in the hallway, just in case. Good night.